The game
Yep.
is built around
Yep.
you stomping someone. That's what the nature of the game is in many ways.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Going Dark podcast. We have made it to episode 5. Chop, how do we feel about that?
Dude, I mean, listen, a lot of podcasts they don't make it past episode 10. We're already halfway there. I think that's unbelievable.
I need to get something on my Go XLR that's like the round of applause thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, I have an effect, but I haven't like set it up yet.
Okay.
So I got you on. You know what? Once we get to episode 10, I'm gonna hit y'all with.
Okay,
one of those.
I
It's
like
gonna
that.
be
I
great.
like that. I
But
like
hey,
that.
I mean, it's been actually insane. Has blown all of our expectations out of the water.
Yes.
And like, I feel like we only have more ideas of things we want to do. We're almost limited by the number of episodes we can record at any given time. But you know, we're gonna make it far beyond episode 10. We're in this for the long haul, so I'm very excited to get it going.
So we have a Discord. I'll let you in on a little behind the scenes. We got a Discord that we kind of organize all our stuff, our thumbnails, our ideas. Our ideas section is probably 20 ideas deep. So listen, we're at least going to make it to episode 25. I can guarantee you that. That's the good news.
Yeah, I think it's going far beyond that. I think by the time we get to that point, we'll have like hundreds of ideas. But yeah, we got some really cool stuff in the works for you guys. But today is more of, we have some spicy topics to get into. This one is going to be a bit more of a difficult discussion for Call of Duty. And we've been kind of like trying to figure out how we're going to approach this one. But we ultimately settled on, we're going to pick these 3 pretty like hot button topics in the community right now and discuss kind of, you know, where they're at and where their trajectory is going and whether they belong in the game or not. So it's like 3 things that we sort of feel need to be reworked or just outright removed from the game itself. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going with this.
Last week was 5 things that we need to bring back for COD to save it. And now we're going to tell you 3 things that you should remove from the current games to save it. So we're giving
Call of Duty.
We're saving Call of Duty on a podcast, guys. Make sure you share this with a friend. Let's get the word out. So I mean, let's get right into it. What's the first thing on your mind? You know, we kind of talked about this a little bit prior, but what's got you feeling like, you know what, it's time we get this out of here?
Yeah, so we talked a bit about this before the podcast. We were going to initially have 3 things apiece, but then we realized that these issues are so like major, it's probably best if we just do these top 3. And one that we both kind of agreed on. And it sounds so like crazy to think about now.
Yes.
Because back in the day, I remember this being a pipe dream for the community. And this was like the thing to aspire for. Crossplay, the ability to play with your friends across platforms. Inherently nothing wrong with that, and I think even just saying it out loud sounds like nothing but a good thing. But the details of it have really shaped the Call of Duty landscape over the years in ways that I'm not entirely sure is good. So I think crossplay is not just a beneficial thing. It definitely has its drawbacks too. And I've seen, you know, the community be a lot more vocal lately about, hey, can we remove crossplay, or like, can we just turn this off or whatever? Because it does cause a lot of, you know, issues within the game and experience itself.
Yeah. So this was number 1 on my list, so just so everybody knows, because I immediately thought of this one. I don't know why. The rest I kind of took a minute to look around and glance at and figure out. This one spiked to my brain right away because I have a list of reasons why. I think the best thing that I can say is, for this, I feel like it brought a cheater culture to Call of Duty. Now, in 2010 and 11, were there cheaters on Call of Duty? Sure. They had the aim, not aimbot, the controller where you would, what is that called? Like a trigger mod, and you can shoot like the foul super quick. You know, it's like, and you saw somebody that like that, and you're like, that dude's cheating. But it wasn't like as frequent because you had to like make the controller, you had to go buy the controller, you had to go do all this weird stuff. And, you know, there was some occasional mod menus. And honestly, the funny thing is, I don't know about you, but when I got in one of those mod menus, I was kind of like,
it was kind of like
funny. It was funny. You're like, dude, I'm jumping around. Like, you get out of the game if you didn't want to do it, and you go into another one because there were so many lobbies back then. but it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm flying around, I'm shooting somebody, I'm getting 1,000 XP. Like, this is fun.
Yeah, yeah. They were typically more fun mods, and yeah,
yes.
you definitely came across them a lot less frequently, for sure on console.
So in my opinion, today's world, this crossplay has created some sort of, again, I go back to when you came across somebody in the community that was 10th prestige, dominating. You went, holy crap, I want to be just like that guy. Now, today, what's the first thing they say when they get killed by somebody? Anybody says
cheating.
He's cheating.
He's walling.
He's cheating.
Yeah.
He's walling. He's aimbot. He's Cronus. And the reason is because crossplay came out right before, or right as Modern Warfare came out, and Verdansk came out. And Verdansk was infested with cheaters. Like, I get we all love Verdansk, but it was infested with cheaters.
Very quickly, too, I might
Very
add.
quickly. So the mix of a dude running around on a PS4 with 60 FOV, he sees somebody rocking 120 FOV, spinning in circles and killing them from across the map with a Car 98. The automatic assumption is he's cheating, which he probably was. And then it just continues to pour doubt on anything of a good player. You know, you get your camera broken, he's cheating. He snipes you from far away. Oh, that dude looks like he's cheating. You know, he's aim locking. So with all that, I just feel like it's added this level of suspicion that I feel like Call of Duty's associated with hacking now. Like, that's all I feel like I see. And I'll let you talk because I've been talking for a while, but
no. So it's definitely been trending that way. Like, to talk about your point of what you mentioned, like, years ago, typically cheats in Call of Duty, they were definitely less frequent, and they tended to be more like hardware based, where like, a modded controller, something like that. I mean, occasionally, like, you throw in a USB stick and you would have, like, a limited UAV or something like that. But they were rare, less frequent, and also easier to point out, I might add. Cheats now have become much more software based, and they're getting like so sophisticated at being hidden. Like, that's almost the point.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that also has to do with what you mentioned earlier, but even the rise of, like, content in like streaming culture. People would just cheat because it was a fun thing to do.
Right.
Now, I think there is actually a financial incentive to cheat because people, will try to win these Warzone tournaments with like big money on the line, or, wagers and stuff like that. And part of that is just because, gaming in general has become more hyper competitive and thus monetized. And there is an actual reason to want to cheat now, and also a reason to keep it hidden. And I think part of that was crossplay opening up the floodgates for that to happen. Because when you segmented your hardware and your software and your player base, the downside was that, people couldn't play together on different platforms, sure. But it also became a much more easy to maintain the integrity of, like, the security of your system. Opening up the floodgates, especially with Warzone, completely changed the game.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people's issue with crossplay is, suspicion of cheating, etc. But I also think that it's just opened the back door for so many other, cheats that range from just humor to, like, genuinely, like, RCE exploits, like with BO3. For those unfamiliar, like, that was a way to somebody could back end into your literal computer and get your personal information just by loading up BO3.
Yeah.
Just by loading up the game online, your entire computer could be at risk. Like, that is way different than somebody giving you 1,000 XP per lobby in
max prestige in one game because you're doing that. Like, totally different.
So different. Yeah. And I think a lot of that was backdoored in by crossplay.
Yeah. And actually, I want to go back to your wager point. If you're more of a casual person with these games, a wager is more like I would put it as like a match for money. So, like, the first thing I thought of was, you're playing 2v2. So let's say me and Ch0pper are hopping into a Warzone match, and we play another two people, and you have like a kill race. Whoever has the most, whichever two people have the most kills can win, the money, the pot. And like you said, when money gets involved, man, things get shady. No matter what category you're in life, I feel like as soon as the money happens, as soon as it became more about money with Warzone, it got a little shit. And I think too, these people have a right to think like this, because even I thought, you know, some of these guys are just, they're sitting on their couch, they're getting worked, and they're blaming cheaters. But now you got these people there's people shadow banned and there's people banned, which Call of Duty has come out recently and said if they get an official ban, it is final. Like they found something and they are cheating. So it's like when you see all that, how do you expect people to be like, oh no, like there's only a couple of them out there. Dude, you go to GameStop and there's Cronuses sold out. They sell Cronuses at GameStop. Do not buy them. Do not buy them.
We would never advocate that, but
no. But yeah, I'm just like, I see why they're doing it. So I have a solution. And I don't know how hard this would be, but I think you could do crossplay. So I'm saying eliminate crossplay, but I'm adjusting crossplay. Xbox, PlayStation, they can play together. PC is its own thing. As soon as you play PC, you can plug in a controller still on PC, and you'll go against controller PC people and mouse and keyboard PC player. But if you are on a console, the only people you play are PS people and Xbox people. Because go ahead.
Or go ahead. I was just going to say, what you actually mentioned is exactly how PUBG does it currently. And this is interesting because I used to play that like a lot. And like I would talk to developers and stuff. And one of the issues in that game was actually, hey, are we ever going to get, because originally it had no crossplay at all. Like separate player pools for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Eventually, they merged Xbox and PlayStation. And I asked the developer, hey, would you ever consider merging it with the PC player pool? And they said, we absolutely have the ability to do that, but we've considered it. And like we could pull the switch tomorrow, but we're not going to do that. And because of the game mechanically, and also I think, you know, a backdoor from like cheaters and stuff, because also PUBG has a huge cheating problem. They never did it. Even to this day, even though they could, they didn't. They showed a little restraint. And I think, and I think that was smart. You know, kind of a bummer. It's like, I would love to play with some of my buddies on PlayStation, for example. But ultimately, I think that was the better move. And I tend to agree with you where, I think console crossplay should be allowed, given that they more or less run on the same framework. But PC gets so like open-ended that it's almost impossible to provide the same experience on PlayStation versus like a computer. You know, well, I completely agree with that. Now, this is the other thing, and this could be a whole down the rabbit hole, and something I did not write on my list, which I could have, but it leads into this, and that's about like aim assist.
So I was literally going to go to that as soon as you like. That was my next topic, or not my next topic. My next point was, what do the PC players complain about when they get into lobbies with controller players? Aim assist, ladies and gentlemen, aim assist. So I feel like we all wanted crossplay. We now have got 4 years of data on crossplay, and it's like, okay, the PC players hate going against controller players because they have aim assist. The controller players hate going against keyboard and mouse, aka or PC people with a controller, because they think they're hacking. So why don't we just divide this community a little bit? You know, we used to have a complete division of Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo Switch. So let's just divide the console and let's divide the PC. And I think, I'm telling you, I think the community would heal a little bit, because I feel like right now everything is so, everybody's on edge in the Call of Duty community. You know, new tweet from Charlie Intel yesterday. It's the skins that look like Teletubbies. And now the whole thing's roasting, you know, and I got to be honest with you. I got canceled the other day. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter.
No, I didn't. What happened?
So I'll tell a quick story, but the summary of this was they came out with some other skin. It was a Teletubby skin. And so what I tweeted was, we can't stand what Call of Duty's become. Look at these skins. And then I did Call of Duty 10 years ago, and it was the gingerbread skin. Now,
from AW,
from AW. So what was my point there? My point was that those skins have been around forever, and we've never been like, this game sucks. We hated it. Ruined COD. But some random person with no profile picture took it as I was making fun of a Make-A-Wish person because that's the gingerbread skin guy was a Make-A-Wish request. Like he said, can you put a gingerbread camo in there? So they took it as I'm making fun of a Make-A-Wish person for their skin. No, folks. We got to do a little reading. We got to do a little comprehension.
That's so Twitter brain.
It's so Twitter brain, and you would be shocked at the views. I would actually. Do I want you to put the tweet? You can put the tweet up on the screen.
So the thing that I was going to add is like you could have replaced you could have had like the octopus skin.
There was 100 skins. There was 100 skins I could have chosen.
Dumb argument from Twitter brain. Twitter brain losers.
So I was canceled for about 13 hours, and then I went about my business, and now nobody cares. So guys, if you ever get canceled on Twitter, just keep it moving, man. Just log off, and you'll never know you got canceled.
But to your point, like people were during AW saying Call of Duty is cooked now. You know, it's like lost. That actually was the argument during AW. Like I distinctly remember that. Like COD used to be a military sim, all this stuff, and then it's like people were complaining during AW. Like I don't think anybody's. I don't think we should pretend that also wasn't the case back then. You know, this has kind of always been a thing, and especially in like BO3 as well. That was the complaint.
The dabbing in the final circle.
but to pull it back a little bit, I think it's opened up a lot of difficult decisions that need to be made, and the pie in the sky crossplay utopia I don't really think exists. And there is some utility in actually segmenting the player bases of your game to give an optimal experience for each platform. I truly think console and PC player base, like that's the only division we need.
I literally did not know that about PUBG. I guess I should have known that, but I didn't. And I'm like, they got it. That's it. That's the golden ticket. That's the move.
Yeah, I mean, for all the bad decisions PUBG has made, that is the one they got right. And I will admit, like, I was one of those people that I'm like, why don't y'all just do it? Like, flip the switch. Let's see, like, full crossplay.
For sure.
How it goes. But now, given what Call of Duty's done, and in retrospect, I'm like, I think they actually made the right decision by keeping it segmented.
Yeah,
that worked better for everybody in the long run.
And I feel like side note with PUBG, it's like, if you're on keyboard and mouse, you can go through the bag and like get your stuff and bandage. And it's like, I'm hitting on the control. I'm down. Okay, put this in the bag. Okay, it's like PC's got a way bigger advantage in that game.
Yeah, so people think that, controller has a certain advantage in Call of Duty, or keyboard has, controller is generally assumed to be better at like close range encounters because of how aim assist works on controllers. And keyboard mouse is generally considered to be better at long range for precise control. But in PUBG, the difference between keyboard and mouse and controller is astronomical because of the gunfighting. The control you get of your weapon. There's a lot more, kick on your guns in PUBG than there is in COD. You need to be able to loot quickly. It's way easier to do on a keyboard and mouse. Like that game is built for mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Call of Duty, you could say was built for mouse and keyboard. Call of Duty 1
came out on PC, yeah.
Sure, but they console-ified the game as the years went on.
100%.
After Halo, it became about the console experience for sure.
I kind of miss that, to be honest with you. Like I miss booting up a console and playing a game, and I can easily do it. I got a console right next to me.
Sure,
but it's like, I don't know. It's just I got ingrained with the frames and with the FOV and with the, you know what I mean. It's just like I do get that part, but now the console has most of that stuff. It's I don't know, but to summarize, point one, crossplay needs to not go completely, but it needs to be toned down, aka PUBG version. Xbox to PlayStation, if Switch wants to get involved, sure. And then PC's its own thing with controller and keyboard and mouse. I mean, I think it would help so much of the bent out of shape community we kind of have built with all that. So
100%.
So point two. I guess I'll get us going with this one because this one I brought to you and I think you like this one. I cannot stand I can't stand it. The Hulu type main menu system that we got. And for those who don't know, the main menu system, I was told by a developer, the new system is made because they want to integrate COD Mobile. So when you play COD Mobile, it looks exactly the same as when you play console. So it's like, there's no, what the heck, where am I at? What's going on? It's all synced up. And also, I'm not sure if it was Hulu or Netflix, but the person in charge of this UI worked at Netflix or Hulu, one of the two.
That was MW2's main menu was designed by like an ex-Hulu guy.
Okay, so obviously that guy went, I like Hulu's design, we're going to copy and paste this thing. So I'll let you go, but that was pretty high on my list as well, because I got a lot of thoughts, but go ahead.
Yeah. My initial thoughts of that, we talked about it this morning, and I was like, dang, like that's a good point. So I've had a problem with the main menus in Call of Duty for a really long time, and I actually didn't know that they wanted to integrate it with COD Mobile.
Yes.
That's like their goal.
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Yes.
We've gone from developers sitting down and being like, how can we make the sickest main menu possible? You know, they're cooking on BO1, and they're like, yo, how do we make this like an experience? How do we make the main menu an unforgettable experience? Like, let alone the rest of the game. How do we make the main menu unforgettable? You know, and COD menus have kind of gone here and there. Like, you know, there's been original MW3's main menus, really nothing special, or, you know, stuff like, you know, they kind of come and go. But for them to sit down and be like, how can we make this the best way to let people enjoy our game, or even just like a sick, you know, thing in and of itself, to now where it's like, how can we, it sounds very like tech bro talk. How can we onboard the most users?
Yes.
How can we make this the most user-friendly experience? You know, it's instead of making a cool menu, we're like, how can we onboard the most users to maximize their playtime? And it's
but
like,
where did they get that? How did they get user-friendly with what we have now? Am I completely lost on this? Do I not know what user-friendly is?
I feel like it's gone in a direction where there's a Steve Jobs clip that is very iconic. I've included it in videos before, but he's talking about how in Apple or I'm sorry, in Microsoft, in any like big company, it originally starts with like a really good idea. In this case, you could say the great idea, let's take Black Ops 1 as a main menu. It's like, we're going to make the menu itself an experience. And they just want to make a really cool thing. Eventually, once this like endeavor gets so big, you get a lot of like business and tech guys that don't really, and advertisers that don't really understand what makes the product so good, but they know how to effectively like sell things or market it, and then they end up making the decisions for the game instead of the creatives making decisions about the product. And then those people lose the sense of what it means to make a great product.
Yeah.
And that's where we've gone with the main menus for sure. Is like, we've ventured so far into like tech bro kind of menu systems because it's like made for that kind of hyper optimization and onboarding new users kind of thing, that we've lost what it means to make a great main menu.
I just like you said, I literally have it in my notes of, I bet you can literally remember the main menus that just instantly grab your attention. And ops, I put ops 1, I put ops 2, and I put MW2 right in the middle of that golden era. It was Modern Warfare 2 was the menu. It was campaign, spec ops, multiplayer. Which one you want to go to? Then you go, and then it's find match, create a class, lobby, you know, or leaderboard, barracks, whatever you want to call it, and then like settings. You know, it was just so simple, and it got you right in the action. They're talking about how they want to get people on the game and keep them on the game. Maybe they want them to stay on the game because they're getting lost in the main menu. But, you know, it takes them 10. Here's what I'm thinking all of a sudden. I just popped into my head. It takes 10 minutes to find the multiplayer menu. Then it takes another 5 minutes to figure out how to create a class. And then it takes another 10 minutes how to make a class. So you're 30 minutes into the game and you haven't even hit find match yet. So maybe that, and you're hit with ad after ad after ad buy this skin. I don't know if you got on Modern Warfare 3 the last week, but I kept getting excited. The first day I got on, I thought that they gave that skin away. The dude that was like, it was like a panda bear that was high. Did you get on at all this week?
I did.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Did you get the message that was like,
I did.
I said, what? I said, Call of Duty giving us a skin? And then I realized it said,
No.
it says buy the skin. And then it gives you like, it did give us something. It gave us like stickers and like a camo or something.
Like emblem or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm like, these dogs, man. Like I'm all excited. I'm going, wow, Call of Duty might be turned around. No. It's just an ad to buy a skin. It's like when you get on a game, I remember this, we talked about this in a previous podcast. It was like, when you get on NBA 2K now, you're hit with 2K TV, where it's like just them doing something, some show. Then you get in and it's a VC ad on how to buy VC for your character. You're playing an actual private match game, and there's ads on the scoreboard. And I'm like, I get we got to make money, man, but like,
it's getting aggressive.
It's getting way too aggressive.
I could tell you something wild too. And for people who watched my Modern Warfare 2 review, you may know this, but I don't know if you remember. I believe this is 2019, maybe 2020, one of those years. Fortnite got sued, or they got into legal trouble for doing something in their game called digital dark patterns. And Call of Duty has been following that trend, or they've been kind of doing the same thing. Digital dark patterns are basically like, they are designing their menu in a way where it's intentionally difficult and obtuse to navigate, so that you're more likely to spend money. That's the whole theory with casinos, is like they remove clocks, or they make the layout kind of confusing so that you just end up spending more time in there and spending more money. I don't know how malicious that truly is in terms of casino design, but in any case, Call of Duty is clearly designing their main menus around this like digital dark pattern system.
I agree. I don't think that
they want you. It's way easier to purchase an item when it's presented to you than it is to like click out of that menu.
It is
you
easier
need to go through more steps to get out of the menu than it is to buy the product they're putting in front of you.
It's an easier thing to buy a skin than to find a match.
Yes. Yes, literally.
Like, and
isn't that crazy though?
No, I have another point on my thing. Was my buddy texted me, I'm not even kidding, this is not a troll. My buddy texted me the other day, and he asked me, how do I play multiplayer on Modern Warfare 3? He said, how do I get there? And you know what I did? I said, I can tell you. But I obviously told them. But then you know what I did? I went to YouTube, and you can look this up for yourself right now at your house. There are how-to and tutorials of how to get to places on the MW2 main menu. There are YouTube videos. Listen to me, people. Listen where you're at the house. There's a YouTube video how to navigate a menu. Okay? If you had a video like that in MW2 and Black Ops 1, you would get disliked and made fun of. Like,
yeah, how do I find zombie? Bro, you click zombies.
Right. I mean, and I think too, I have a little side point of that as well. Of, we talked about this too in episode. I think it's time to make Warzone its own UI. Like, get that thing away from the game. But it is such a total different experience than the rest of the game now. And I think even from a community standpoint, people that came from Warzone in 2020, I'm telling you, some of these people aren't Call of Duty fans. Like, they're not a COD fan. They're a Warzone fan. And yes, it's Call of Duty. And the reason that they are playing is because they remember the golden age of COD. Like, that was why they tried it, I think. But sure. Like, I think Warzone now is its own people. Like, it's its own thing, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it's its own, like, entire subset of the community, to where I feel like the disconnect between Warzone and the rest of Call of Duty is only growing broader every day.
Yeah.
And I truly think that if there were a clean break from Warzone to Call of Duty, we could actually start getting more condensed and better main menus, honestly.
Yep.
That would be wonderful. But I totally agree. Like and also I literally, they change so much too, you know, through the seasons or whatever. Like I feel like they're always updating the menu as well. And I cannot think about what the main menu of Vanguard looks like anymore. I can't really I can think about Modern Warfare 2019,
Yeah.
but even then that changed a little bit too. That's kind of where it started. And I think we should look at some of the menus that worked really well. I'm not asking them to remake the Black Ops 1 menu. That's lightning in a bottle. But
Yeah.
do something to make the main menu itself an experience, and then people will be on board with that.
I actually think I like the Modern Warfare 19 menu. I think that was kind of, wasn't that the 3 like big blocks?
Yeah, it was the 3 like big pillars, and it had like
Yeah.
blue text for each one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was fine. But then it started to become it started to get out of hand in like the future
Yes. Yeah.
Call of Duty.
I totally agree.
It was acceptable there, and I was like, if this is like a one-off, sure, that's great. But then they use that as like a baseline, and then Huluified the rest of the menus to where they're now like, bro, I feel like I'm navigating like 10 different streaming services at once.
Yeah.
Crazy. I feel like every time I load up the game, it's a new main menu, and I don't know what the hell's going on.
Because it
Crazy.
is the new
Yeah.
ad every time you get on. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's it's just, it needs to be adjusted. But I actually want to move on to the last one that we have here, because I want everybody to know at home. Ch0pper came to me and he said, I have an idea for a full episode. So, and what we're about to talk about right now, it could be a full episode, but it's our third thing on the list of what Call of Duty should get rid of. So, Ch0pper, I'll let you take this one away and
Okay.
and get into it.
Yeah, so this I want to preface this by saying, like, I definitely think it could be its own episode, and we also need to make sure we define what it is exactly we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because this is probably the most hot button issue in Call of Duty. I mean, it has been for years. Skill-based matchmaking, I'm sure you're, you know, tired as hell of hearing about it, but I truly think that we will have something valuable to add to this conversation, even somewhat, because I've thought about this stuff like a lot, man. And, you know, I think we will probably have slightly different views on this, but that's kind of what this is for. But I feel talking about it is the way to get to a better solution somehow. I'm not saying like my solutions are totally right or anything, or anybody's is, but we can talk about it and see, you know, what is good and bad. But skill-based matchmaking has been difficult, and I feel you get put into one or two camps. You're either pro or against skill-based matchmaking, but I just don't really think it's that black and white.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more room for nuance here. And the thing that I want to like open this up with, I guess, is my question is, and I have my own thoughts on this, but it's not if skill-based matchmaking should be in the game or not. It's not that old Call of Duties didn't have it, because it's not true. My question really is, why is skill-based matchmaking really only a problem in Call of Duty and not other games? And I'll let you go from there, but I have my own thoughts about that. Just initial thoughts of
that's a question I've never really even thought about, because there really is not a discussion about skill-based in other games. Literally, the only thing I can think of is Fortnite. But now Fortnite has gone way off the rails and added like bots into their matchmaking. Man, I tried to play Fortnite the other day, dude. That was atrocious. It was 3 real people in the lobby. The rest were picnic lunch 87, and I go, why am I in a battle royale game playing against bots? Like, I couldn't even imagine that. Like that. And I've even seen Courage JD tweet about that. Like, he's like, this game's practically like, I don't want to say ruined, but you know, you either go against the master sweat or you go against bots. And it's like, what happened just to the average middle group where you're like, it could be a good fight, or it could be, I destroyed this person. And it was that was the magic of battle royale. Early magic of battle royale was you didn't know what type of player you were going against. It was either a complete sweat or somebody that wasn't as good as you. And it was
that meant the story of each game was very different.
Every story, every game was different. And that I don't even know what question you asked me. I just went on a rant about Fortnite.
No, that's fine. Basically, I was asking, and I'll give you my thoughts on this, but like my question to you, and I guess everybody listening, is like, and maybe I don't see it as much in other games because, Call of Duty is the community that I'm like very, in touch with. But
Yeah.
I tend to think, from what I see, I tend to think that I don't see other communities and games really complaining about SBMM the same way that COD fans do. And I'm like, it's not the existence of skill-based matchmaking. It's like, why is it only a problem here? And so I will lay this out what I think, giving like an example. I talked about this in my Advanced Warfare video. So so imagine a game like chess or a game that I play a lot of. I actually play a lot of Smash Brothers.
Okay.
I play Smash a lot. And the thing is with that game, you actually want somebody that is just as good as you, if not slightly better, to play against.
Mhm.
Because if you have somebody who isn't that good to play or who is not very skilled, it's a boring game. And with chess, if a grandmaster is playing against somebody who's never even sat down in front of a chessboard before, it's not going to be a good experience for anybody. And so what I get from that is that it depends on what the nature of the game is, if skill-based matchmaking is healthy for it. And I to go back to Smash for a second, the reason why Smash is fun with somebody who's slightly better than you, is because that game is like a dance where you're actively like looking for your opponent's patterns and their habits, and it's this very engaging like learning and like dance experience. That's the only way to put it. And same thing with chess is like you're very much trying to get into your opponent's mind, and that kind of engagement at a top level is where the fun is to be had.
Yeah.
In Call of Duty, I'm not saying that a hyper competitive COD match can't be fun, but from a broader perspective, Call of Duty systems are built around doing much better than your opponent. The kill streak system is
Yeah.
evidence of that.
I-
The game
yep.
is built around
Yep.
you stomping someone. That's what the nature of the game is in many ways. And I tend to think that with skill-based matchmaking, when everybody's doing more or less the same, and you're not able to actually effectively feel that advantage of the kill streak system that makes Call of Duty special, by the way, then the game feels incredibly one-dimensional because you don't have anything else going on. In Smash, like the fun is the dance of the game. Call of Duty, the fun can be the dance of the game in like a hyper-competitive match, but by and large, for most people, the fun is dominating and getting kill streaks because that's what the game is set up for to do. So my conclusion is that it's not like SBMM is a problem in and of itself. It's that the game it's being overlaid or applied to is incongruent to that system.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of the game. It might have been MW19 that had pretty strict skill-based matchmaking. And I just remember, I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty solid Call of Duty player. Like, I don't remember getting 6, 7, 8 kill streaks because also I don't camp, so I'm moving around and stuff. And that game did not reward moving around by the dead silence and the doors and the
Sure.
But like you remember the old CODs because what did you do? 7, 11, 25 on Modern Warfare 2. It was the Harrier, it was the chopper gunner, it was the nuke. Black Ops 1, I remember it was like the SR-71, and then you got dogs, and then you got Ch0pper. Like you said, it's all based on absolutely obliterating your opponent. And it just doesn't happen when the sides are so equal. And I know the argument of like, well, you don't want to play people your skill level. That's not the argument. That's not the argument we're making here. I remember back in the day, I've said it in previous podcasts, I loved BO1. I remember BO1 matchmaking the most because me and my buddy would play, and one game we would win 75-37, and it was like, yeah, baby. And then the next game, 75-73, because some random dude came in the lobby. He was a 10th prestige, and I'm like, all right, Chris, let's lock in here. Like we gotta dial in. We gotta get the gun. The meta gun. We gotta go for a win here. Probably not going to get streaks, but we're gonna go for a win. And I think, again, it's a different story. I think I'm just going to keep going back to that. Multiplayer had a different story every single game, and now it has lost that. It is 75-73. everybody running around with the meta.
Mhm.
And it just makes the
It
game.
feels very samey.
Yeah.
And the thing, what you said, that's where I was going with it, is the other like counter argument I see. I actually remember an exchange on Twitter between a Smash play. I think it was Leffen and Hutch, like the COD player.
Oh
And
yeah,
they were
yeah.
arguing about skill-based
Hutch is
matchmaking.
pro
And
skill based. He's pro
uh-huh.
big time skill based.
I think it was it may not have been Hutchinson. I don't remember. But anyways, there was an exchange on Twitter between a Smash player and a COD player, and it was a total disconnect because they were arguing about like totally different things. Or like where I was going with it was I hear the argument all the time, "Oh, you just don't want to play against people your skill." In Call of Duty, it's like, no, but I'm trying to figure out why that is. Like, why is it fun for me to play somebody who's better than me at Smash and I still have a great time, even if I
Yeah.
get my ass whooped? But why is that not fun in Call of Duty? I think it's because of the systems of the game are just basically about getting kills and kill streaks. Like if we're
Yeah,
being honest,
yeah.
the gunplay of Call of Duty is not incredibly like depthful. You know, that was like the appeal of the game was it's very easy to pick up and play. You know, anybody can shoot around in there. So without anything else really going on to engage you, if you're just going one kill for one death, like it's the most hollow gaming experience there is.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas in
why
Smash,
isn't
like
why isn't
you have that dynamism in that game, and it's the most fun when you're playing against somebody who's just a little bit better than you because you're learning something every time.
And-
You could kind of make that argument about Call of Duty, maybe especially in the early days, but not so much now. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is why is Call of Duty one of the only games that isn't fun to play against somebody your skill level?
and
Other games are.
I'm not knocking Battlefield, but if you take away kill streaks, it's just Battlefield. Like not bad. You know what I mean by that. There's no
Yeah.
kill streaks on Battlefield. You're running around and trying to find that kill and trying to take over that base. It becomes like an objective game, which Call of Duty people were not. Go play a hard point and see if Call of Duty people are objective gamers. You know, they're not. They want to get their streaks, just like you said, and they want to just dominate. Go to a shipment. Why is shipment so popular? Because you're going in there trying to get a bunch of kills, get a bunch of
turn
kill
off
streaks,
your brain and shoot guns.
decimate
Yeah.
the opponent. And I think too, you bringing up streaks, it also makes me think about camo grinding. No other game like I feel like has a I mean, maybe they do, but I'm a little bit out of it. But like no other game has a camo grind like Call of Duty. So just like you said, if you're going 1-for-1 in camo grinding, I always hear the people nowadays that camo grind, they're going, what a miserable experience. You know what I mean?
Everyone who, dude, okay, I'm not saying this about everybody, but it seems like everybody I hear about who does the camo grind, they all like hate their lives.
They
And I'm
hate
like,
their
"Why did
lives."
you do this?" Yeah, I'm like, why did y'all do this?
Yeah.
And also to your point with Battlefield, you know, again, take away Call of Duty's kill streaks. What does it have? In Battlefield, you have like more dynamic gameplay going on. You have vehicle play.
Yeah.
You know, that is more of an experience outside of just getting kills. You can do more and you can have more fun, even if you're not just like steamrolling everybody and gunning people down. You know, you can still have a good time in Battlefield. It's better to be doing well in Battlefield, but that's not the only way to have fun.
Yeah.
In Call of Duty, I can't really think of many other ways to have fun instead of like doing well or getting kill streaks, whatever.
I'll interrupt you. Trolling.
Yeah.
But can you troll nowadays?
No.
You know, all your
AI
KYR
voice chat got you
speedies,
locked
all
down.
your Vanoss, guess what? They don't exist anymore because there's nobody. There's very few people trolling in the community now. I can name a couple off the top of my head, but back in the day, you wanted to be that. Like that was the top YouTube, I feel like, was the trolling community and doing random S&D moments. And, you know, there are people that still do it, but it was way more frequent.
Finding the fun back then.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying not saying you can't have fun in a competitive COD match or, you know, even a casual one, but I just think it's evidence to the fact that Call of Duty systems are built around doing well, and skill-based matchmaking is just like the complete contrast to that. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying like to completely rid of the system? No. And also the other thing was, I'm sure you saw maybe like a month or two ago, Sledgehammer, I believe, released like this big ass document detailing in detail exactly how the system works for matchmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, skill is a component, but it doesn't seem to be the biggest, or even like it's not the biggest factor there is. It is one of them for sure, but it's not like the penultimate thing. But I think my other thing is that I feel skill-based matchmaking is an easy villain to point to and say, this is why I'm not having fun in Call of Duty anymore, instead of realizing that maybe just like the way that you play, or perhaps you're burnt out on Call of Duty or something like that. It's a very easy villain to point out and say, this is why I'm not enjoying COD anymore, instead of actually, maybe taking a bit of a deeper examination and finding out why you're not having fun. Because I think the evolution of SBMM sucks and I'm not having fun in Call of Duty, you can kind of transcend that, I think, and be like, I'm just going to accept this for what it is and still continue to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you ultimately want to go.
I keep saying I've made little side notes on previous podcasts, but I just remember the old CODs. BO2 especially. I remember using so many weapons. I really do. I remember being able to do well with every weapon too, because it wasn't as strict. It allowed for that variety of using the PDW, using the MSMC, using the AN94, and still having the ability to get streaks and have fun. And like I said, I remember on launch of MW3, everybody and their grandmother was running around with the longbow because it was the pre-order bonus and the thing was completely broken. And it's like, if I don't use a longbow, I'm going to get one tapped and disintegrated into like the little crystal things that they did at the beginning of the game. And I'm like, I don't want to use that though, but you kind of are forced to do it. And I don't know if that's because, I guess, is gaming gotten better? Gamers have gotten better. Like, I do understand
that's big part.
Yeah, like I do understand the system from that standpoint of like Bob coming off the street of working goes against a dude that's got his headset on, his scuff controller and all this. I get there's got to be a little gap there, but I don't know if it's as crazy as a gap as they're making it. If that makes sense.
I hear you. And I think gamers, that is another underappreciated sentiment. Partly in a bubble with MW3, one of the problems that I was like, I know this is going to happen. People complain about SBMM right away with Modern Warfare 3. Part of that is sure because skill-based matchmaking, of course, but also, man, we're playing maps from 2009 that everybody is like intimately familiar with already.
Yeah.
We're using guns from the last Call of Duty that people already have ranked up and optimized and attached out and everything, like everybody knows how to play this game already. And more so to the point, about gamers getting better. So I can just recall during like BO2 when I was telling you like that was when I thought I invented Claw.
Yeah.
And I have a personal friend that I would play with all the time. And again, he's like self-admittedly not very good at video games. He just messes around and plays for fun. And like, he probably had like, I don't know, maybe like a 0.5 KD in BO2. And I like drop shotting was considered very sweaty in BO2, or like jump shotting.
Oh yeah.
And I played Call of Duty with him like last month, and I've seen this guy drop shot, and I'm like, okay, like, and he's got like a better, he's got like a scuff controller or whatever, but he's got something a bit more serious. And
he's a casual,
exactly, and he's like doing things that would be considered like godly back then. And also I think this, like, I know this may get some controversy, I'm not sure, but I would argue right now that a average or even slightly below average COD player in our current environment would be considered a top tier or even a pro in like COD 4.
Totally agree.
They would be considered like a god in that game.
Yeah.
Or in like World at War or something. COD 3, anything before COD 3, a slightly below average player now, or even just dead average, would be considered god tier back then.
So what's your solution? What do you see being the move where you can make these people that are considered casuals and on the lower end of skill-based matchmaking not feel like they're getting beat up, and then the super sweats like myself, I consider you in there, like where we have fun still, and we're like that old classic, we're having fun, we're being able to beat up the lobby a little bit, but we're not taking advantage of people.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the only solution, not the only, but the only one that I can think of that I can't right now put any holes in, I don't think is, and maybe you can, but The only thing that actually no, there is one hole. I think the only solution to this problem is that you would okay. So where we're at right now, it's like Call of Duty has like imagine this is like the skill gap.
Okay.
Higher end players here, lower end players here. Maybe back in the day, a majority of people fell around like here. And that median has slowly gone up over time to where like maybe we're about here.
Yeah.
Of like player skill. I think the only thing you can do now is increase the skill gap of Call of Duty so that now we actually have this broader spectrum of where people fall. That is the only thing you can do is you need to design the game to have a larger skill gap. That way you would have more people spread across and games would feel like they have more variety match to match. But that sounds good. But the problem with that is how you would go about increasing the skill gap. And if you increase the skill gap so much, would it still be Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
if they turned COD into like, I don't know, like Tarkov or something, it would lose its appeal.
Yeah, I mean, like with Advanced Warfare, I mean, that's the first game that comes to my mind, which probably had one of the biggest skill gaps in Call of Duty history.
Sure.
Is hated by a lot of people. Me, I enjoyed it because I felt like I was pretty solid at that game, and I was able to jump past people, boost, dash past people. But I also remember being definitely people were better than I was in certain lobbies, and I'm like, holy crap! Like that guy's doing some wild crap. So
yeah, the pronunciation of the skill gap in that game was huge, and I think. And that's what people are arguing for when they want movement in MW3 and all that. And I think even like increasing the health helps to do that too. And Sledgehammer, to their credit, has taken a lot of good steps in increasing that gap, which I think for the longevity of the game is good. But I truly feel that is the only way to extend that spectrum of player skill expression is like you need to extend or you need to largen is not even a word. You need to expand what the skill gap of what Call of Duty is. But again, if you do that too much, you may lose the feel of Call of Duty. And I think that's what I would be scared of.
Yeah, and a thing that just popped in my head too was, and I guess this is just not a mindset nowadays, and even in gaming, just in my life personally, if I enjoy something, but I suck at it, I want to get better. So if I play basketball, I play a lot of basketball, and I go to a court where there's better players, I don't leave the court. I want to go and watch this guy and go, oh, he just did like this pivot and like a great, underhand scoop shot. Like I want to try to learn that. And I feel like with Call of Duty, I know it's basketball is not Call of Duty, but it's like this hobby thing. And, I still want to be good at my hobbies. So, if I'm in a lobby of Call of Duty players that are better than me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get wrecked, but I can learn. I can watch his kill cam, and he's always watching this heady over here. He can wall bang this. Like, I'm learning something. Okay, now I'm going to get better, and then I'm going to be able to go and crush other people, and then hopefully it's a cycle of that people that you crush, they now go, oh, let me get better, because there's always new people coming to Call of Duty. You make a brand new account. Not saying I've done it, but make a brand new account, play a game of Call of Duty. That's an enjoyable experience. Not beating up on them. I literally did it to see what do these players look like. And it's
I feel like that's the I know. There are it feels like a different game.
I'm not making fun of these people. If I were to play Rainbow Six, I would look like an absolute idiot. But I would also study.
We would look like that in any other game that we would pick up for the first time. We would be that guy. It's nothing against those kinds of players, and I think they deserve to have their own experience too. But I mean, it's like it becomes a totally different game when you play it in that context. But I don't know. I think if we could increase the gradient of where the skill is in Call of Duty, we could actually get that feeling again. And that's, I guess, my argument for increasing the skill gap of COD. That's like where PUBG was, and that's why again, for all their own problems, PUBG is a really hard game.
Yes,
like that's a hard, like gunplay speaking.
Yes,
game sense. Like PUBG is a hard game, and I'm not saying make COD PUBG, but that is like you could tell even if there weren't the most advanced like player mechanics, you could tell a really good player immediately just by taking a look at them and the way that they interact with their environment, how they move, and all that stuff.
And a big
there's no ambiguity.
PUBG for me too. And I'm an example of like I played the game a couple times and I didn't really like it. I didn't want to get better at that game, but also PUBG doesn't make a game where it's like, hey, Tdawg, we really want you to play our game. I feel like Call of Duty is just trying to get this big load of people, and everybody can play Call of Duty, you know. And sometimes that's just not the case. Like I hopped on the Rainbow Six. I don't like the slow, methodical pace of. I like to play COD and rush into a game. And I think Call of Duty's just been trying to
That's the appeal of the game. Exactly.
Yep. So, yeah,
it's tricky, man. Cause
it's a tricky thing. It's not a one size fits all.
If you increase the skill gap of COD, it wouldn't be COD anymore. But if you leave it where it is, then people are going to complain about SBMM and everybody being too sweaty. I never hear that term sweaty in almost, okay, that's not true. I never hear that in like, again, imagine like a chess player sitting down and be like, my opponent's too sweaty.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's the point.
Yeah. And any other thing. I mean, going back to basketball, going back to sports. Oh, this pitcher's too sweaty. I'm out, guys. I'm not swinging the bat. But there are people like that. I know people on my personal life that if they show up to a basketball court and they see people better than them, they will not play because they feel like they'll get embarrassed or they'll be terrible. And it's like, but you're never going to be better. You're always just going to be playing people like with your boys playing 2v2 pickup. And it's like this whole, but I guess, you know, people may argue that's like, that's just what I want to do. And I guess you just have, okay.
Then you need to accept that, especially for SBMM and COD. Like if that's your attitude, then that's fine. But then you just need to accept
you might be going 5-15 every game.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. It's tough, man. I think SBMM is a really complicated issue, and it's not just turn it off or on. I see it all the time. Turn off skill-based matchmaking. Okay,
that's not going to work.
They're basically asking COD to flip the switch so that we can have like the fun switch doesn't exist.
Yes, it doesn't.
I think also, sorry, not to keep rambling on this, but Ch0pper, I'm pretty sure like they had their like beta or something recently.
Yeah,
like last weekend. Did you play it at all?
Stress test or something like that.
Stress test. Did you play it at all?
I actually played. I did not play it this past weekend. I played it the first couple weekends or whatever, like 5 months ago or 6 months ago, whatever it was.
I'm just gonna say, Ch0pper, you know, for their whole thing of being no SBMM, we are SBMM free. That being practically their selling point. That game was sweaty as hell. This last beta, I played for like maybe a couple hours, and I was like, damn. This game is mad sweaty, and it's just showing that like people have gotten better at this game. It almost doesn't really matter like if there's SBMM or not. Like how, you know, people have gotten good at that game. It was very sweaty, and I'm like, if this is going to be indicative of the full launch, it's cooked. Because if their only selling point is that feature, it's practically non-existent.
I have a counter argument to that. I think when you're doing betas and you're doing stress tests. It's literally the sweats playing it. Like my boys ain't hooking up the PC to play a stress test. They'll when it comes out and it's free and it's like, hey bro, download this. You know, everybody's on it. That's when you'll get the casuals popping in.
You're definitely correct on that. Yeah, for sure. Like the audience that is going to be like this beta test thing generally is the sweat.
Call of Duty betas are insanely sweaty. Like I remember BO3's beta. I'm like, holy crap. And then by the time the full game came out, it was a pretty balanced experience, and you had a bunch of noobs and you had a bunch of sweats, and it felt like a good Call of Duty. But beta, I'm like, oh no, like I suck. Like I'm in trouble now.
That's a good point. But yeah, with Ch0pper, like it shows me that this is how the game can be. And like it will never be this like totally SBMM free experience where, you know, you'll never play against sweats and like it's just unrealistic. But it was very sweaty, and I don't know. It just makes me think that skill-based matchmaking is an easy villain to point at and be like, this is why I'm not having fun. But it could be a variety of many other reasons why you're not enjoying the game. You can also enjoy the game with SBMM in it. You can enjoy Call of Duty for what it is and still have a great time.
Yep.
But until there's like an acceptance of some sort that like this issue is far beyond just flip the switch on or off, then maybe you can start like moving forward with how you feel about it.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is 3 things that Call of Duty needs to remove. And let me summarize. First thing, crossplay. Not crossplay completely, but Xbox to PlayStation, PC, you're back on an island. Sorry.
Mhm.
And then the Hulu-like menu. Get rid of it. Bring us back the
Bring
classics.
back good main menus.
And make Warzone its own menu. Side note. And then 3,
Yes, please.
remove skill-based matchmaking, but not in the way that we're typically seen on Twitter. We have a better idea. Raise the skill gap and tone down the skill-based matchmaking is what I'll say.
Increase the skill gap and understand that it's not a matter of flipping the switch on or off. But I that's where I'm at. Like, remove SBMM for me is like increase that gradient again, so there's more stories and variety match to match.
I love the story. Story is the word I love to use. But yeah, guys, that's episode 5. I have 3 things that I told Chop I needed to say. Number 1, make sure you're leaving a review on Apple and Spotify. I think at the time of this recording, we have 55 Spotify reviews. I'm trying to get that thing to 100 by 2 months in. So if you can do that, that'd be great. Apple, same thing. I think we're a little bit less on that, but Apple took us a little bit to get on. So we're a little behind, but YouTube, if you are watching, leave a comment on what a topic you'd like to cover, like we'd like to cover next or have us cover next. We actually took a comment from the side mission episode and made it into an episode. So I think that's cool. I think we're trying to get you guys more involved. Chop, what was the thing you said before we started? I can't remember what you said about getting people involved.
Definitely leave comments. It's really good input for us. The other thing is like definitely go follow us on, like Twitter, Instagram. Those are ways that y'all can like, I think we're the most like personally active on there. So if you guys want to like speak to us directly, definitely go drop us both a follow over on those things. And that'll be very helpful, even just for podcast ideas themselves, but just to get more involved with what we're doing. We've got some cool announcements eventually. Definitely stay tuned for those.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, definitely go follow us up on all that. Completely free to do, would be very much appreciated. And go drop us a follow. That'd be great.
Follow us on social media. Comment what you want to see next. Leave a review. Listen, we're asking you to do a little bit here, but come on now. I mean, the content's flowing, baby.
We out here, man.
And leave a like on YouTube. I keep forgetting to say leave a like. And if you've stumbled across this video and made it to the end, maybe subscribe. It might or follow the podcast. One of the two. But
whatever your preferred platform is, make sure you're there because we got a lot more coming.
Oh yeah. Episode 5 is wrapped. We will see you in the side mission 5.5 with a little bit of a banger episode, and we got this one suggested to us. So another one on the list. But thank you for listening, y'all. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.